3 Clinical Cases of TSI-Stroke Applications Part 2, number 1620, 5/2026, Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation, Category, Stroke Risk. My son's TSI stroke case. My son's TSI stroke data covers about 16 months, from January 2025 through early May 2026. This period can be divided into 3 distinct phases, each showing a clear change in system behavior. During the first phase, from January to July 2025, his TSI values fluctuated between 80 and 90, ending around 85 by the end of July. This range indicates a relatively stable and low-risk condition. In the second phase, from August to December 2025, his TSI risk level rose steadily from about 85 to 97, an increase of 12 points over 4 months. During this time, he was staying in Taiwan and frequently eating out. The local diet, generally high in carbohydrates, sugar, and salt, led to elevated glucose levels and increased systolic blood pressure. Sodium intake causes water retention, which raises blood volume and, within the same vessels, increases SBP. In the short term, this results in temporary glucose spikes after meals, while repeated high salt intake can contribute to sustained hypertension and increased vascular stiffness. Reflected by higher pulse pressure, this represents a combined effect of metabolic load and vascular stress, pushing the TSI upward. In the third phase, after December 2025, he returned to the United States and spent about 4 months traveling along the East Coast. During this period, his system stabilized and formed a relatively flat trend around 95. This level is not ideal but remains within a manageable range. This 16-month dataset already provides meaningful insight into system behavior. It clearly shows how lifestyle changes, particularly diet and environment, can directly influence both glucose and blood pressure, and therefore alter the overall TSI stroke risk trajectory. Conclusion: comparison of 3 TSI cases. The TSI stroke model is based on 3 key components. The first is glucose, representing baseline metabolic damage and its contribution to vascular calcification. The second is pulse pressure, PP equals SBP/dBP, reflecting vascular stiffness and loss of elasticity. The third is systolic blood pressure, SBPS, an acute trigger, which can lead to vessel rupture under extreme conditions. With more than 1 year of data, the trajectory of the system becomes visible. This is fundamentally different from traditional medical practice, which relies on periodic lab tests that provide isolated snapshots. In contrast, TSI analysis provides a continuous movie of system behavior, revealing trends, turning points, and critical moments, as well as identifying which factors are driving stroke risk. The comparison of these 3 individual cases, myself, my wife, and my son, highlights the importance of both data depth and duration in understanding stroke risk behavior. My wife's 45-day dataset provides only a preliminary directional signal, which is not sufficient for reliable interpretation. However, her data has revealed the importance of data integration under a unified software structure. In contrast, my son's 16-month dataset already reveals clear trajectory changes, turning points, and cause and effect relationships. My own 8.75 years of longitudinal data provides the most complete picture, capturing long-term accumulation, peak risk periods, and post-event recovery. From these comparisons, it becomes clear that TSI reflects the accumulation of system stress over time. When the TSI stroke value approaches 100, the system enters a high-risk zone. When it exceeds 100 to 110, the condition becomes dangerous. This multi-case comparison N=3 also reinforces a key advantage of the TSI approach. Traditional medical evaluations rely on periodic snapshots, such as quarterly lab results, which can miss transient spikes and evolving trends. In contrast, TSI risk analysis, based on continuous or repeated measurements, provides a dynamic view of system behavior, similar to watching a movie rather than looking at isolated snapshots. This approach allows for early detection of rising risk of stroke, identification of dominant contributing factors such as glucose, pulse pressure (PP), or systolic blood pressure (SBP), and timely intervention before a critical event occurs. Epilogue: E+A collaboration in my medical research writing. This article was constructed without traditional typing. Instead, I used an audio interface to communicate my ideas directly with commercial AI tools, allowing my natural thinking process to flow without interruption. My role is to generate the core elements of the work, including the idea, subject, structure, and underlying logic. My thinking speed is faster than my speaking, and my speaking is much faster than my typing. By removing the typing bottleneck, I can preserve the full continuity of my thought process. The AI then serves as the writing engine, transforming my spoken input into clear, structured written language. In this Ne+AI collaboration model, natural intelligence provides pattern recognition, system structure, and causal reasoning, while artificial intelligence AI provides speed, clarity, and efficient expression. This creates a highly efficient workflow. Thinking gives speaking gives AI writing gives Ne review. Compared to the traditional process of thinking gives manual typing gives manual editing. This approach significantly reduces friction and improves both speed and accuracy. This Ne+AI model is not about replacing human thinking, but about extending it. By combining fast human insight with efficient AI execution, it becomes possible to produce a more complete, complex, and structured work in a much more direct and natural way. My research work is always based on a system-level, physics-oriented approach applied to long-term personal data, while many medical professionals agree with the results. The methodology differs from traditional population-based statistical studies, which makes it difficult to interpret within existing frameworks. Therefore, I focus on documenting my findings clearly and leaving a complete trail and record for future generations' understanding. Actually, continuing my medical research work quietly, without needing approval, is a strong position, but I still hope that my work is not a wasted effort. If even one person, now or in the future, can follow my logic and build on it, then my effort is not wasted. That is how systems evolve. Appendix: TSI-Stroke or TSI-3B equals SBP-DBP 45 times SBP 120 times glucose 100 times amplifier, where the amplifier is defined as 100 for diabetes less than 10 years, 110 for diabetes between 11 to 20 years, 120 for diabetes more than 20 years. With regard to TSI values, if TSI is less than 90, you are safe. If TSI is between 90 and 99, you are still safe. If TSI is between 100 and 109, you should be cautious about your risk. If TSI is greater than 110, you are entering a dangerous zone. Disclaimer: I write this paper not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to TTH. Author: Gerald C. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.